Hello, everyone. Welcome to Visual Learning Center. Today, we will learn the topic of child development, factors that affect the child. So, let's start.
Hey, welcome. Today we're diving headfirst into something truly fascinating, child development. I mean, what are the actual ingredients that come together to shape who we are, right from the very beginning? It really is the big one, right? What makes us? Well, us. When you see a kid, you're looking at this incredible, unique mix of things all happening at once. But what are those things, and how in the world do they all work together to create the person they're going to be?
Well, the short answer, it is never just one thing. It's way more complicated than that. A child's development is this amazing, complex dance between what they're born with and the world they grow up in. I love this phrase for it. It's like their biology meeting their biography.
Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll start with the core building blocks. Then, we'll get into the great debates, the big questions. After that, we'll look at some hot topics happening right now. And we'll wrap up with some actionable tips for growth. All right, first up, the core building blocks. Let's start right at the foundation. To really get the big picture, we got to understand the key ingredients that go into every single child's blueprint. So, where does it all begin? With our biological blueprint. This is what people mean when they say nature. It's the raw material we get handed from day one, our genetic code. It basically sets the stage for, well, everything.
And this blueprint? It's not just one thing. It covers our genes, our physical health, how our brain is wired, even our basic temperament. Are you naturally kind of shy or more outgoing? And this stuff has a huge real-world impact. For example, something like a premature birth can totally change the timeline for a child's early development.
But here's the thing. That genetic code isn't destiny, not by a long shot. This is where nurture comes into the picture. Nurture is, well, it's the whole world around us. It's everything on the outside that's constantly interacting with our biology, shaping and molding us from the second we're born.
We're talking about stuff like the vibe at home, the kinds of friends they have, what they see on TV or online, and the impact is just massive. I mean, think about it. A supportive, loving home, that's not just nice to have, it's absolutely critical for building a kid's core confidence and feeling of safety in the world.
Okay, so let's zoom out even more. Beyond the home and school, there's the whole context of society. We're talking about these invisible forces, things like culture, social rules, and the economic situation a child is born into. This creates this whole other, powerful layer of influence. And a lot of the time, we don't even talk about it. This covers everything from cultural traditions and whether you have access to good schools, to something as basic as gender roles. Seriously, the expectations society has for boys versus girls can completely shape their behavior, what they dream of doing, and how they feel about themselves, starting when they're super young.
All right, let's zoom all the way back in now to maybe the most direct influence of all, parenting style. And this is not just about rules and punishments. It's the whole emotional vibe a parent creates. It's their hands-on approach to guiding and teaching their kids.
So researchers usually talk about four main styles. You've got authoritarian, which is super strict, my way or the highway. Then there is permissive, which is really laid back, maybe too soft. And then there's authoritative, and this is the one that studies consistently link to more confident, resilient kids. It's that sweet spot, a balance of clear rules and a lot of warmth and support. And of course, the fourth is neglectful.
Okay, so we've got our building blocks down. Now let's get into the really juicy stuff, the great debates. This is where we see how all these factors fuel the big, classic questions that psychologists have been arguing about for generations.
And here it is, the big one, the heavyweight champion of all psychological debates, nature versus nurture. Are we who we are because of our genes, or is it all about our environment and our experiences?
So you've got the two classic corners. In one corner, you have Team Nature. They argue that our development is pretty much hardwired by our genes. And in the other corner, you have Team Nurture. They believe we're basically born as blank slates, and our environment is what writes our story.
So, who's right? Well, today we know the answer is neither of them, or actually both of them. It's not an either-or thing at all. It's a both-and situation. Our genes and our environment are constantly talking to each other, influencing each other in this crazy, dynamic dance.
But hey, the big questions don't stop there. There's also continuity versus discontinuity. The question here is, do we grow slowly and smoothly, like a tree? Or do we develop in separate, distinct stages, kind of like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly?
And then there's stability versus change. Is that shy kid you knew in kindergarten always going to be a shy adult, or can our personalities actually change in big ways over our lifetime?
Okay, let's bring these classic debates into today's world. How do these big ideas actually connect to the stuff parents and teachers are dealing with right now in the 21st century?
Right now, there are a few hot topics that are everywhere. First up, screens. Are they amazing learning tools or are they harming our kids' brains? The conversation is kind of shifting now from just how much screen time to the quality of it. Then there's parenting. That whole strict versus friendly debate is still raging, but the research keeps pointing back to that balanced, authoritative style. And finally, IQ. Is it set in stone by our genetics or can we actually improve it? The whole idea of a growth mindset is changing how we think about that, suggesting our brains are way more flexible than we thought.
So after all this theory and all these debates, you're probably wondering, okay, so what do I do with all this? Good question. Let's get practical and move from the what and why to the how.
Here are 5 really solid tips. Number 1, provide a balanced environment. You want to nurture their brain, sure, but don't forget about creativity and just play. 2, use positive reinforcement. Praising the good stuff usually works a lot better than just punishing the bad. 3, give strong emotional support. Kids need to know you're in their corner consistently. 4, and this is a big one, avoid comparing children. Every kid is on their own timeline. And finally, number 5, make sure they have a safe and healthy space. None of the other stuff matters if they don't feel safe, both physically and emotionally.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap. The big takeaway here is that child development is not simple. It's this complex mix of biology and environment. That whole nature versus nurture thing, the real answer is both. We've also seen how things like parenting style have a huge direct impact, and that development itself can be looked at as both a smooth, continuous process and something that happens in distinct stages.
And that brings us to our final question for you. Now that you know just how complex and amazing this whole blueprint is, what's one small change you could make starting today to support a child's journey? Just something to think about. Thanks so much for tuning in.